we now have a conversation with Benyamin.
ನಮ್ಮ ನಡುವೆ ಆಗ್ಲಿಂದ ಬೆನ್ಯಾಮಿನ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮಲಯಾಳಿ ಕಾದಂಬರಿಕಾರರು, ಖ್ಯಾತ ಲೇಖಕರು. ಅವರನ್ನ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಅವರ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಭಾಷಣೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ, ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ನಮ್ಮ ನಡುವೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಶ್ರೀಜಿತ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸುಧಾಕರನ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರು. A conversation with Benyamin. Sir, over to you. Once again, welcome, sir.
Good evening, all of you. Welcome to one of the most awaited sessions of this Lit Fest. In 1936, there was a poem released in Malayalam literature titled Ramanan. When the poem was published, Malayalam literature has seen an unprecedented level of reception from the readers, and a critic like Joseph Muddasheri exclaimed, "I can't believe my eyes that Malayalam literature is witnessing such a kind of experience." And the history repeats in our period. A novel in Malayalam literature has come out with its 100th edition, and amidst of all the loud cry that literature is dying, reading is dying, we have a wonderful example, an amazing example of a perfect blend of popularity and what Matthew Arnold calls high seriousness in one of the writers of this era, Mr. Benyamin, the author of God Days. So, Sudhkaran Ramanthali and I are delighted to welcome you to this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let me start with a very famous statement from your God Days, that all the inexperienced and bizarre expressions are fables for us. But when you look at many of your works, we can see that this bizarreness and defamiliarities and existing as an undercurrent layer in many of your works, which gives a kind of cultural shock for the mainstream society, be it God Days, be it Akaporinte 20 Nasrani Varshangal, Al Arabian Factory, Jasmine Days, or many more. So what is the specific reason behind your choice of these bizarre themes, which is something unfamiliar or defamiliar for the mainstream society? Is it something accidental, or does it speak your notion and philosophy about fiction?
First of all, let me congratulate the organizers for such a South Indian language festival. First of all, ever in India, because all the festivals are conducting only for the languages, and anyway, congratulating them. While we come to the question, the basics of storytelling lies there. Why we are writing a story? In our normal life, we are facing so many issues, so many incidents. We met so many people, but nothing will hurt or touch our heart. But while something or someone will touch our heart, and it will not go away from our mind, or it will keep on hurting me or haunting me, then I will start to think, this is an unfamiliar story to the world. I have to tell. If I am not telling, nobody else is there to tell that story. Think about Najib's story in Naadu Jeevitham. Many of us know that from many decades we were going to the Gulf countries, earning money. We know that it is a glorious life is there, and we don't know 90% of the people going to the Gulf countries are leading a very, very pathetic life there. It is unknown to the society, unknown to the Malayali world. Many people are thinking that, oh, they are going there and making money in a 2 years and coming back as a rich man. But how they suffer, what are the situation they are facing, don't know at all. As a writer, this is my duty to tell the world that this is the reality. So whenever I met something unusual to the world, unfamiliar to the world, I may start to think that this is my duty to tell those stories. That's why maybe in those old stories, maybe you mentioned that all the novels, I choose those kind of characters, those kind of incidents. In Jasmine Days, it is mentioning that the Arab revolutions happened in the Arab countries, Jasmine Revolution. It was very unfamiliar to our world. We thought that Arab peoples are just lavish people thinking of nothing. They do have a democratic ambition. They do have political affairs and all. So I thought that as I am living there for many years, I met so many people there. So it is my duty to tell the world. That's why those characters are, or those incidents are coming to me. This is what, nothing else. Thank you.
So there's an interesting sentence in Al Arabian Factory. It's readers might be fed up with the reality, imagination. So hence writer is in search of reality. Again, when you observe your fictions, you can see there is a rich, intense infusion of historical facts and figures, and it's not purely, absolutely imaginary. So the historical facts are intensely present in many of your works, or almost all the works, in fact. But usually, when the writer is obsessed with historical facts and figures and so-called, what we usually say nowadays, the political correctness in the fiction and all these things, there is a chance for the fact to overwhelm the fiction, in fact. On the other hand, we have a long tradition of debate between the formalism school. In every language, every culture, we have this tradition of formalism, where one part of the society argue for the formal structure of the literature, and that has to be the definition of identifying a literature as literary work. On the other hand, what Terry Eagleton calls materiality of the life brimming on the pages. But in your case, it's so impressive to see that there is again a perfect blend of fact and fiction, and wherever it demands a kind of imaginary perception and portrayal of life, you don't hesitate to take the freedom of a writer to go ahead with the imaginary power or imaginary freedom, whatever it is. That's something very very visible in many of your works. So can you explain, with respect to, again, earlier mentioned novels, Al Arabian Factory or Jasmine Days or anything which are very politically charged. So can you please explain the process of blending this fact and imagination, facts and fictitious things, without leaving one overwhelming the other? So how is it, as a creative writer, how do you deal with such things in your novel?
I am so much fond with the historical facts and historical events. Once I visited Auschwitz in Poland. You know that it was the place who was cruelly murdered more than 60 million Jews in the period of Hitler. In front of the Auschwitz, there was a sentence written that those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. It is very important thing. in our era, I think so. Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Why we are going back to the history, why we are going back to the incidents happened in the history means we have something to learn from that incidents. This is what I trying to blend in my novels, history and current events. I am not telling any historical events as to proclaim the past and proclaim the king's life or something like that. I am trying to mingle with the current events, what is happening. It may be while we read the history, while we know the history, then only we can know what will happen in the future. So this is what, that is my agony or my pain or my fear. Maybe this will happen in our country too. I am not telling in Al-Arabian Novel Factory or Jasmine Days, I don't want to focus on the Arab politics only. I want to focus on the future of our country also. That's why I am taking some historical events from many places. Even if you read the Al-Arabian Novel Factory or Jasmine Days, it is not mentioned any of the country. It happened in somewhere in the Arab world. It may be in Tunisia, it may be in Egypt, it may be in Bahrain, it may be somewhere else. I blend so many historical events from many countries and gathered together and put it in one imaginary city and telling a story to the new world. It may happen in our world, in our country, if it is some other situation. So we must know the history to know the future. That's why I am so much fond with the historical event, and I am trying to blend with the imaginary characters. That is because whatever the situation, history will not stand alone in a fiction. We have to blend with so many imaginary situations, imaginary characters, and then I will go on and write something.
I think it's in Al-Arabian Factory, and you don't mention the name of the place where the story takes place.
Both novel, Al-Arabian and Jasmine Days.
Jasmine
I
Days.
never mentioned
The
any of
place
the
is not, so
places.
it's something
It is
universal.
happening in somewhere in Arab country. That's all.
So, while discussing translations of your work, you have been mentioning about addressing a universal reader. And I, as a translator, I just want to know whether it is confined to the English translations alone, or what about the translations to the vernacular languages here? And what is the concept of a universal reader? As you said?
See, that is maybe I mentioned in an interview that in a translation discussion that while we are writing in a regional language, we all are addressing someone unknown. Many of the writers told that telling that, oh, we are not addressing anyone, it is addressing to everyone. No. While we go through deeply in a book, we can see that the book is addressing to someone. If it is writing in a Malayalam, I am addressing to a Malayalam society. They know many of the things, don't want to describe those things. While it is translating to Kannada or English or in Latin or any other language, we have to somewhere, some point, it has to be explained. It has to be detailed. This is something different in writing in a regional language or in a translation process, because many of the incidents. For example, if I am telling the character's name is Mr. Nair. Mr. Nair means Malayalis know that its character, its class, his kind, his wealth, and everything is implied in that one. But actually, while translating the character into another language, you have the translator must have to elaborate a little bit. Who is Mr. Nair? What is his class? From where he is coming? So many things we have to explain. That's why while we are translating, we have to address a universal reader. It has to communicate with other communities also, other than the regional language, maybe other than the Malayali communities. This is what I tried to mention through that comment. Thank you.
That universal leader. Okay, then you have also said that you want to write an Indian novel. And see, as I see from my experience, we in Kerala, the Malayali readers, normal Malayali readers, they are aware of what is happening in Latin America, in literature, what is happening in Europe and other countries, Africa and all. They are they are in touch with all those things, but they are not even interested to know what is happening in the next state. So unless and until Sahitya Academy has recognized 24 languages as full-fledged languages where this creative literature is flourishing. So at least to understand the other language, what is happening in the next language. If we don't actually understand that, how can we speak about an Indian literature? What is Indian literature? And my question is not that the Indian novel. And you have said I have to travel across the country, across the length and breadth of our motherland, and I have to meet diverse people everywhere. And it's very difficult. The process you have already told, it is very difficult and all. But I just want to know from you, what is your concept of the Indian novel?
That is my dream. From my dream, it will become a novel. What I am thinking about an Indian novel means we have to search the diversity of India and go through each and every village in India and write something about their life. Last week I was in Ladakh for a 10 days trip from Srinagar to Leh Ladakh, almost 1,700 kilometers we traveled across the Ladakh. We went to Srinagar, then Aryan Valley. There is a society, 4 villages in Aryan Valley. They are believing that they are the descendants and from the Alexander the Great. They came along with Alexander, and they are living from the last 2,000 years in the valley itself. They believe that they are the pure Aryans. And I went there. Then I went to Tang village. That is the northmost village of India. From there, we know that what is the cross-border issues and how the border create the issues in people's mind. While we are seeing from here from Canada or from Kerala, we don't know how much the people are suffering there in the part of the borders. And then I went to many part of. So if we travel in India, we know each city, each village have their own stories and their own struggles and their own cultures and everything. I dreamed that I should write a novel. It will come. I don't know how it will be possible and when it is possible, but I have to dream again and again and again. Then only it will fulfill. While I write the novel Adu Jeevitham. Before that, I always told to my friends that I am going to write a novel with one character only, with one character and a god. I don't know how it will fulfill, but all of a sudden, Mr. Najib came to me and we started to talk each other, and I came to know that his story. I knew that it is a rarest story from the Gulf country. Then I fulfilled the dream that one man and a God and God. That's why I am dreaming and trying to write something.
Anyway, as readers, we are eagerly waiting for that.
Yeah,
Indian
I am
novel.
also waiting, but it is not an easy task at all. While one more thing, you told that why we are not aware of the other languages other than Latin American novels, you know that otherwise, or Hanbamok, we know. But the thing is, we don't know other languages at all. This is the basic things. You translators have to make effort and do translate more and more works from here, and publishers took initiative to publish those things also. Then only we can read that. Why we are reading Latin American novels means we are getting those novels in English. We can read it. We are trying to read Tamil novels in English, or Canadian novels in English. But you are a translator. You have to take initiative or to take translate into Malayalam. You translated many novels. I know that, but.
Actually,
that is not writer's issue. This is translator's issue or publisher's issue. You have to address to them only. Please, thank you.
Actually, the academy is encouraging to do that. There's a big project for the academy. Actually, they are doing everything at their disposal.
I know. There are
but
so many issues we have to address.
Not getting into
address with the translations and all, because many of my Adijividam is translated into Kannada and Tamil. The thing is that no publisher is going to give any remuneration or royalty to the translating works at all. If I am writing in Malayalam, I am getting royalty. If it is translated, nothing you will get. This is what happening in because maybe very less books are selling or something, but so the writers are not ready to give or taking any initiative to translate or something. That is should be addressed by the publishers or translators and government agencies. Why many of the Turkish novels coming into Malayalam means they are giving, the government is giving very, very good grant to the publishers to publish their novels. That's why the academy or government should. Now the Ponniyin Selvan is coming to Malayalam is because the Tamil government is give a big amount to the publishers to publish that one. Such an initiative should be taken by the government or the academy. Then only it will translate.
I was generally asking, how can we speak about an Indian literature?
Why we are not cross-translating it is because we are not getting money. The publishers are very, very reluctant to publish those things also. We have to address in some other session. I think so. Thank you.
Another factor which I observed is the presence of politics very, very visibly in almost all the works. So we are living in a very turbulent period where religion and the conservative politics, they have a kind of volatile alliance. It's not only in India, but globally, what's happening in France, what's happening in Italy, or the history behind Brexit or Trump's America. Everywhere you can see this conservatism and narrow-mindedness. It's part and parcel of the politics today, and it creates othering. It creates others within the society, within the republic, and you deal with such things in many of your works. If you take the context of Kerala, you discuss these things in Akkapoorinte 20 Nasrani Varshangal, where you deal with a very sensitive issue of southern Kerala, the Malankara dispute, or if, as we discussed, Al Arabian factory and all, it's the Gulf, Middle East disputes and all these things. We can see very frequent as themes in your works and all. So how do you navigate these challenges of depicting such a politically charged issues in your novels, and how do you ensure that the justice is done in your writing? How do you ensure that you are unbiased while portraying the characters, whether your politics, which is well known, in fact, for the Malayali readers, in fact, so whether your politics is stealthily infringing into the judgment of the characters, which you are supposed to keep outside your realm, in fact. So what is the process of writing novels, and how do you deal with such kinds of sensitive things?
First of all, I am an Indian citizen. I have right to be a political person. So I am totally a political person, I think so. I do have political comments and I do have political.
Of course, and it's well known.
Then that is everybody's freedom. While we are writing something means we are not away from the real life or our common life. We are dealing every day. We are dealing with some new issues. We know that what is happening across the world. All those things will come in our mind or in our writing. That is very normal things. While we are writing, we are something different person. While we are in politics, we are in some different person. Not like that. Each time we are the same person. While we are commenting something or creating a character or creating a incident, there will be me will be there. Benjamin will be there. My political view will be there. My political ambition will be there. That does not mean I am partially doing with something else or something, because I do justice to the characters or incidents, because while I am dealing with historical events or something, I don't want to go with some person. I will say both side and both angles. I will tell that readers must take from that what is the right path, or they have a freedom to choose from that. I will not do any biased historical things.
Why I'm asking this question particularly, in Al Arabian Factory, the characters are dejected, frustrated by the failure of the protest there. And if you look at the kind of political writings for the last 10-15 years, we can see there are writings on the politics of multitude. For example, B. Rajivan in Malayalam extensively writes about the hope on multitude politics, instead of the institutionalized politics, what you generally see in the country. So multitude is projected as a new kind of alternative. But in Al Arabian Factory, the character is Samira or his friends Ali. They are all frustrated, dejected by the kind of the failure of that movement, though it create a kind of a vision in the beginning, but later in the due course of the time, they lost it somehow. So this multitude is projected as an alternative by many thinkers, and the characters are dejected. Is it the characters' dejection, frustration, or is it Benjamin's dejection?
No, the first thing we have to know that many of the thinkers in the world, they are behind of multitudes nowadays, including B. Rajivan, and many are behind of multitudes. I don't believe that multitudes can do the real winning point. While we are see the Arab Revolution, it was a multitude things, and at a certain point, we know that that multitude was hijacked by the religion or religious leaders or something. This is what happened in the Egypt and all. So each political revolution, there should be a political agenda should be there, political ideology will be there, then only it will succeed. We can see what is happened in Iran. In Iran, everywhere was there in the strike or in the freedom struggle. There were communists was there, but at a point, it was hijacked by the Islamist leaders. This is what happened in the Egypt and Tunisia and almost every country. So political leadership is very important. Political ideology is very important. This is what I am trying to tell. It is very clear in my novel and all. Those characters have maybe some unclear in their mind, but I do have my own clarity on politics.
At the same time, Nietzsche's idea of Superman must not be there.
Yeah,
That's what he
there
believes.
there will not be any Superman in the political strikes. The people only will lead and they should suffer. That's all.
So, yeah, I mean, a lot of interesting factors or a lot of interesting elements are there in Benjamin's work, and you are a writer who likes to experiment one after another. Another interesting element, what we see in your works, you are very much interested in fetching the real human beings into the body of fiction, in fact. So, right from Najib to Che Guevara, you have Patrick Lumumba, Gauri Amma, Yamman Govindan Nair. Then in the latest, what is being serialized in Madhubhumi, Mulberry, where you have your most favorite writer, I believe, Kasan Saki's, then Mulberry Shelby, his wife, who is still alive. And finally, you yourself become the character in Manyavel Maranangal. It's something unusual, in fact, in Malayalam literature. Very, very, we may have one Bashir, or a very few writers who bring their autobiographical elements into the world of fiction. They always be on the safe, or like to be on the safer side. But in your case, you dare to bring the real incidents or real characters, real human beings into the fiction. And I'm reminded of one more thing, which is something very controversial, in fact. In Akkaporevi, you refer to Manorama playing a very vital role in a famous role in the Malangara church dispute, and you use the name of Maman Maple when you refer to, I think, if I'm right, CP's murder attempt. Very, very, very sensitive and very dangerous razor edge work you have in your fiction. At the same time, you can claim that it's all in the fiction, and you have all the freedom as a writer, as a creative writer. So, can you please explain in detail what are the risks and challenges you face in the process of transforming the real into fictitious?
First of all, I will not add any fiction in the history. I use so many historical events for the fiction, but
not the other way around.
Not vice versa. And those incidents are creating in the novel to plot some incident or something, not to defame someone, if it is Manorama or someone else. That's why I am still a good friends with Manorama or any communist party, because in the novel Mandalde 20 communist varshangал, it is the clash between the church and the communist party. It is many communist leaders are coming as a character in the novel. Still, I am be the part of the communist party in Kerala. So, the aim of the novel, essence of the novel, we have to see. It is to tell some other story, not to defame someone or to demoralize something. So I am very, very keen on historical events. I don't want to put some the fiction on the history, but I use the historical events to create something else. This is what this is the way I am using the history in the fiction.
So are they still staying as a reference point or
reference point also? And that's I told in the.
But many of these characters, in fact, decide the movement or the progress of the plot in novels. That's what I'm curious to know. Especially, I don't know what's going to happen. We are waiting for this, the completion of Mulberry. Real living characters are there. I mean, Mulberry, Shelby's wife is there. So we don't know.
Because in the latest novel, Mulberry, I discussed with Shelby's wife, Daisy, for a long and described. If I am telling the story of Mulberry was a publication house in Kerala for a long time and a very good publisher. He committed suicide in 2003. And from that onwards, he was my first publisher. And I was so anxious about why he committed suicide. From last 20 years, it was haunting me. Then I started to write. If I am writing about Shelby, how I can remove those names, Shelby or his wife Daisy from, and then it will be not a good literature. If it is a good literature, you have to tell the truth. You have to tell the real names. If you remove the real names from there for the sake of my own security or something, then the truth will remove from the fiction. In the fiction, there should be a truth. That's why Najib is there. That's why Benyamin is there in the Manjavel Maranangal. Otherwise, Samira is there or Daisy in the novel. So,
is it real character, Samira?
Samira, almost real character. That's because I was in Gulf for 20 years and I lived with so many Pakistanis. I worked with a Pakistani company and my owner was a Pakistani. I lived with, I played cricket with the Pakistanis. So I have a good connection with the Pakistanis. So I know who is Samira. Only the name is changed. So
that's true in every fiction, because
yeah.
the raw material for the fiction is real life. There is no absolute
in some
imagination.
cases we have to use. That is the most example is the Mulberry, the novel Mulberry. If you remove the name of the Daisy from the novel, it is fallen, it is gone. It is not a real story. It should be a real character should be there, the reality there, the truth will be there. Then we have to tell the fiction. This is what I am experiencing. Then, in meantime, you asked another question that you are experiencing or experimental novels. I do have so many experiments in the novels because the basic question is rising for why you are writing. That means for my own pleasure, my own experimental things I am writing, not to pressurize you. To pressurize myself, I am writing that. So if I am repeating again and again, the Adu Jeevitham is one, and then I can write so many Adu Jeevithams in the same format. So I am always trying to change my format. Manjavel Varnangal is different. Al-Arabian Novel Factory and Jasmine Days are twin novels. You can read anything, any part, not part 1 or part 2. If you read Al-Arabian Novel Factory first, then Jasmine Days will be the second part. If you read the Jasmine Days, Al-Arabian Novel Factory will be the second part. That's why. In Taragan's Grandhavari, in the latest novel, it was a very unique novel. It is in a card form. It is a shuffling novel. There are 120 cards are there in the book. You can shuffle. In the novel, normally the writer is deciding from where you have to start, which page you have to read first, and what will be the sequence of reading. But in that novel, in the Taragan's Grandhavari, you can choose. The reader can choose the flow of the novel. End of the reading. By reading all the 120 cards, you can knew that this is the story. This is what so many experiments I have to do. This because I am living for literature. I am making some pleasure from the writing. That's why.
In fact, that's it happens only 1 in million. A writer in India can live just by writing.
Not you've been telling that your generation, from your starting of your writing, you were for directly telling the story, not doing anything, whatever is new techniques and such things and all. Directly telling what is my experience. That is how Adu Jeevitham is created. You were told once, didn't it? So, but after that, the other novels, every novel is separate. Every novel is every novel belongs to different from the earlier one, with regard to style and craft.
That's why finding a story is very easy, but finding a form is very difficult for me. I am taking 3 to 5 years for a novel, and finding the form is very difficult. And all the time I was searching for the new form. That's why I want to be new to every time. That's why.
Innovative.
And it's in these sequels. I mean, I think you are the only writer in Malayalam right now frequently producing sequels. It's Akapore, Mantalir, then
Two more to come.
Is it very good? So we are waiting for and Al Arabian Jasmine Days, you can see. And interestingly, you create a fictional village called Mantalir. And I know that Marquez is one of your favorites, most favorite writers. And was it something inspired from Marquez Macondo?
No, actually, the Mandalar is my own village. It is in official government records. It is Manduga, very rare name, but it is in church records. It is Mandalar. It is a real village. It is my own village. Based on that village, I am trying to tell the history of Kerala itself. The first part was from 1954 to 74. The second part is from 1975 to 95. I wish to write another 2 more parts later on. So the politics is there. Very unknown church history is there, because many of the readers don't know at all what is Malankara church and their clashes and why a long fighting is going on from 60 onwards. My church was closed for almost 40 years by the fighting itself. Last 5 years back, it is opened again. There are so many churches are closed in Kerala, even though today. Because why those clashes are going on inside the church? This is what I am trying to tell in those novels. It is not very easy reading novels, because we have to know the church history from 2000 years back onwards. Still, I am trying to tell the history of clashes.
And of course, in this Taragan's Granthavari, you experiment, and reading itself becomes like a jigsaw puzzle. And the reader has got all the freedom to start from anywhere, and it's his responsibility to connect the jumbled stories and all these things.
See,
so how does it help the structure, or how are you able to restructure the form of the novel itself by producing the book in this way?
See, in the Taragan Skandavari, I don't know how the reader will take it or not, because any other novel I can predict, or I can imagine that this is the way the reader is going to read and convey the novel. But in this case, this is merely an experimental novel. I don't know how the reader will experiment, because each shuffle will change the whole story. So it is a mere experimental novel. But what I am thinking that no story is story we know by linearity. We think that we know each story by linear, but not like that. Maybe you know that now you know that Benyamin wrote Adu Jeevitham. He was in Gulf countries. He is from Kerala. My hometown is Mandalar. But now, if I ask you, you can tell by linear way that he is from Mandalore. He went to Gulf country, then he wrote Adu Jeevitham, then he wrote Manjavil Maranangal. The linear way is creating by our own mind. This is what I trying to experiment in the novel. We are learning the story from different format, different time, different cards. But at the end, we know that this is the story. This is the linearity of the story. Many of the young people read that one and came to me and told the story in linear way. So I was so happy, but it is not for everybody's cup. It is.
Yeah, we are teaching.
If you are very very eager to experiment a novel, experiment a reading, then only you can go for the Taragan Skandavari.
In fact, we are teaching in the class Roland Barthes' Death of the Author essay. But
actually,
still,
death of an author, because as I told earlier, every book, the master is the
Reader.
no, master is the writer. He is
usually,
guiding you from first chapter onwards. Yo, next chapter you have to read this portion.
Exactly.
The some part should be in the end only. But in this novel, reader is the
master.
master. You can choose the card which one you want to read. So it's an experimental novel, but
It's,
I am happy.
Yeah, one of its kind. Those who haven't read that, it's one of its kind in Malayalam literature. Uh, Another thing, something very personal as well. We academicians are desperately in need of finding out new areas of research, and the latest obsession is digital humanities. Though the theory hasn't been framed appropriately, but there are a lot of discussions, conferences, and all these things. So, as a writer who likes to experiment with the content and the form, do you wish to write a digital fiction? And how do you conceive a thing called digital fiction?
No, I don't know at all.
I mean, you want to experiment something online with so much of
certainly,
visuals.
I am ready to experiment anything, but the thing is, you should have a strong story to tell. I do have so many experimental novels or I experience, but basically you should have a story to tell. Otherwise, it will be a mere experiment at all. It will not touch the readers at all. Why the readers are, even though I am trying to experiment in the forms, the readers are coming to me because there are so many strong stories are there. So if it is a good story with me and the story is good for to digital format or something what you tell it is, then I can experiment. So for the experiment I will not try at all. Because for the sake of the story,
I think you have said about it
try.
somewhere in an interview earlier.
Yeah, I will tell so many dreams. It will not happen at all.
Only dreams will transform into
certainly
literary
we have
works.
to tell ourselves that I have to write something else, I have to experiment this, and someday something will happen. That's why I tell myself that, oh, okay, this story should be something else. Some other format. It will not be happen maybe.
So right now you don't have any such plan in your but we look
I think
forward.
our time is over.
How much time we have?
I just want to tell you one more thing, maybe a repetition of something. In the beginning he was telling about Ramanan. So similarly this publication of Adu Jeevitham, by this, readers have come back actually. There were several distractions and there was a point of reading coming down like anything. So when this book was published, more than 2 lakhs copies already sold and people are reading it. Book reading has come back. So tomorrow's historians of literature may observe that. That is my opinion. What is your opinion about Adu Jeevitham now? Because it has become a film.
This is a little bit exaggerated statement, and not me alone. Because while we are writing in the early 2000s, my age writers, because all were here. Subhash Chandran, me, Santosh Chikana, me, Santosh Kumar, S. Harish, and so many, K.R. Meera, T.D. Ramakrishnan, all together created a literature world and attracted young generation to the reading arena. I know that in the early
while planning this Adu Jeevitham, while writing this, were you hopeful of getting such a response?
No writer is hopeful about the future of the novel. We don't know at all. If so, we will write every novel as it is, because we don't know. We write something and the fate of the novel is along with that one. I don't know Adu Jeevitham. I didn't know Adu Jeevitham will sold this much or read this much. This happened, that's all. But it is not me alone created such a reading world in the Kerala. It was a huge number of great writers
Can you
along
tell
with
us
me.
your,
We together tried and capture the young generation, and we are so proud that so many young people are coming to the reading world, and Malayalam is one of the vibrant language in
Yes.
vibrant literature.
Just
we do have.
one sentence about the film. Adichivitham.
Film, I think most of you watched the movie. Many are not agreed with the movie because many are told that many elements are missed from the movie. That is because you cannot picturize a novel completely as it is book, because the book has 43 chapters. If you want to shoot all those chapter or incidents in the film, we need at least 8 or 10 hours movie. So something will miss from the book. At the same time, you all have your own imagination capacity and power. While you are reading, you have a good imagination, but the movie is the imagination of director only. So there are so many issues, but still the people are telling that the movie is good. They watched well, and I am also so happy with the movie.
Thank
So,
you, thank you, thank
thank you so much.
I think it's the bell, and we teachers are well trained to stop at the bell. I think it's 2 minutes. Final question. Apart from fiction, you have written travelogues as well. You are a good traveler. In fact, as you mentioned, last week only you came back from a Jammu trip. You have been to Pakistan, Karachi for the Lit First. You visited your favorite writer's birthplace, Kasan Saki's birthplace. And we can see how vloggers today have spoiled, in fact, the great tradition of travelogue in Malayalam literature. And how do you see the relevance of travelogue today amidst of all these visual diarrhea?
Because travelogues are giving you the experiment of life. Because while you are watching, you can see some visuals. That will not give you an experience, what you experience from those places. So travelogue have still a validity in the world of literature, because every person traveling to a world or to a place, each person is experiencing different way. That experience is missing from the vlog and all. For that one, you have to read the travelogue. So travelogue is very much needed in our
And another raw material for your writing as well.
Yeah, certainly.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
Yes, once again, thank you, Mr. Benjamin, Mr. Srejith Kadiyakkol, and Mr. Sudhkaran Ramanthali for the insightful conversation. Thank you so much, sir. Book Brahma Literature Festival 2024. Thanking our partners for the day. Platinum partners, Ramaya University, University of Applied Sciences. Golden partner, LCITA, LCR, Karnataka Tourism. Silver partner, Pali Institute, Kalaburgi, Prarthana World School. Associate partners, MG Motors, Sapna Book House, SALT, Sheshadripuram Educational Trust, Kaveri Hospital, Selco, Siri, and Kaveri Emporium. Our session partners, Abarana, Alvas, Andolana, Ankita Pustaka, Bhavani Industries, Blossoms, Siddhalingeshwara Book Depot, Harivu Books, Kambada Kone, Polestar, Shraddhas, Tallurs, Tescom, Vidyarthi Bhavana, and SheSR. Print media partners, Prajavani, Deccan Herald, Mathrubhumi, Andhra Jyoti. Radio partners, Big FM. Digital media partners, South First. And institutional partners, Alvaz Modubidre, NMKRV, and Surana Educational Institutions.